Hey guys, welcome to the Untrendy Collective. I'm your host, Emery McCharge. And hey, on this program, we like to have real conversations about what God is doing in your life. What are you building? And we just like to be authentic. That's why we call this show Untrendy. We have an amazing guest today and a great story that I know that you guys will be very inspired by. So welcome to our show today, Josh Corwin.
What's going on, brother? What's going on, gentlemen out there in the world?
That's right, man. Hey, I appreciate you joining me, man. We've got to become good friends. We go to the same church. We're both from South Louisiana, so we have a little bit of that swagger to us, which is so cool, man. I think we've kind of connected, hit it off quite well. So we'll kind of get into it. I know your story is going to inspire men everywhere because we all have something that we've been through. And the one thing that I want to do with this show is to make sure that that doesn't stay isolated. I want our testimony is our most powerful thing, right? So I want that to be out there for people to be inspired by, encouraged by, because people are going through stuff. So if there's anything that we can do as men, as saved men, guys that are, you know, been redeemed, if we can do something that's going to help other men, why not? Why not do that? So I think your testimony is always the most powerful thing that you have in your arsenal for sure. So for Josh, what we like to do in the beginning is kind of start with maybe a rock bottom moment or maybe a breaking point. What was kind of the situation in your life? And feel free to share whatever that is, whatever you're comfortable sharing. But kind of tell us about, kind of walk us through that and kind of what that looked like in your life at the time.
Oh yeah, man. Alcohol and drugs had been like a crucial, like, sort of a side piece to my life forever, and it was kind of a good time type situation, if that makes sense. But then it turned into an everyday thing, So these things, and it was suppressing thoughts and suppressing things that had happened to me throughout life, and so yeah, we did that, and then I destroyed a family. I had a wife and two children, and just destroyed all that, man. Um, Searching for something that the world couldn't give me, and that's basically it, man. So I decided it was time.
I appreciate you sharing that, and it's I'm sure, like you said, it kind of started as something more or less innocent or kind of having a good time, having fun, and then things can escalate quickly, right? Like you said, it might be doing it once a week here and there, and it becomes an everyday thing, and a part of your life. It sounds like at one point, um, and I think it's a hole that a lot of men go down, and like you said, it tears up everything. I mean, you can't do anything when you're in that state of mind. That's kind of the focus, I'm sure, when you are wanting, drugs or alcohol, whatever it is. That's like your focus, right? Like when is that next moment
Yeah,
going to
man.
happen?
You didn't really have, like, uh, eh, before culture changed a little bit. We were raised not to cry, not to show emotion, not to do these things. Well, you have to suppress that some kind of way, and that's just what I used. And at that time, I mean, I was raised Christian, but I just didn't. It was more of a problem to me because I had never really seen God move, so I really didn't understand that God was the answer.
Wow, that's good, man. And you hit it on the head. I think a lot of men uh, were raised, and I remember it's kind of the same thing with me in the era that we grew up in. Is you just kind of deal with it. You just kind of just rub some dirt on it, walk it off, and at some point there's going to be a breaking point, where you can't take it anymore, or you're going to start self medicating. You're going to start trying anything basically just to figure a way to ease the pain. And you hear it nine times out of ten all the time that someone, men will go down that road because you didn't really have a healthy way to alleviate that. You didn't know, like you said, you really wasn't brought up to where you thought God had a relationship with you in this manner to where that can be, what you use to get some relief, to get some clarity on yourself. And I think it's more important now than ever, Josh, that we really look to community, really look to small groups, getting involved in your local church, getting a band of brothers around you that you can have these conversations with, that I think so many men would, you imagine if you were, having some fun, having some drinks, but you had some people around you that could have said, "Hey, let's go another route. I know where you've been, but let's go another route to save you from all of maybe the family destructions and all the things that,
Yeah,
kind of went down that line." And it seems so simple, and it is. And that's why I think channels like this, and everywhere I go, I try to just, breathe and conversate positivity into men and say, hey, if something's on your mind, let me know. If you want to grab some coffee, let me know. Because I feel like it's such an easy effort, if you will, just to do that, to save someone from, a whole generation of destruction. And now, how cool is it that you are on this side of it, and you get to raise your family, and you get to speak into other men, and you get to kind of save them and help them because you've had this experience, terrible experience, but it's a testimony, right? That's part of your
right.
testimony now, and God's going to use that. I mean,
Absolutely.
yeah, he always, even in my life, he uses the weirdest things, the things maybe I wasn't so proud of. He knows how to take that and say, man, I'm going to use this into your story. I'm going to strengthen your story to help someone else that's going through that. And I think that's so cool, man, that I'm glad that I get to know you and get to see the other side of Josh and kind of what God's done in your life. Because this is all I know is kind of just this part of you. So
Yeah,
it's really cool, man. It's
yeah.
really cool.
It's a crazy thing, man. I mean, I went through a lot of dark times and went through a lot of things, and like I said, the biggest point that you have made numerous times to me is community is the crucial part. You know, I have ten brothers that I can call, and they're on the way at any point in time, and that is crucial because you're not by yourself. And as men, we sit around and we do it by ourselves, and we think we have to do it by ourselves, but we don't understand. Every other man is thinking the same way. So when we come together, it's the most powerful thing that you can see, and that's what this world, this country, the whole situation needs.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Having that community, I think, is a beautiful thing. Getting plugged into your local church. So as you're on this road, things aren't going well. You're hitting rock bottom, and you're saying, "Hey, something's got to change. So, something has to happen." What was the first thing that you did to say, "Hey, let's pick up this brick. Let's pick this take this moment and try to do something positive and do some pivot, if you will.
Yeah.
Like, let's try to go in a different direction." Kind of take us through that process, and what was that like for you, Josh?
Well, the Lord blessed me with a super, super cool woman who came into my life, and she is now my wife. And nobody had ever really, for lack of better words, nobody had ever really cared. Nobody had ever really known. Like, I was one of those people that I could do whatever it was all day long, and nobody would ever know any different because nobody really knew me. But this person, I let this person in, my wife now, and she had this awesome little boy. And, it was like I finally had somebody I could say, hey, I need some help. I can't do this anymore. You know, I can't live like this anymore. And so we, having that structure, and having that support system, man, it was just time because I was just tired of living like it, man. It just gets tiring because the problem never goes away. You just push it off. You're just kicking the can down the road. You know, when you're
That's
not
right.
high anymore, when you're not drunk anymore, when you're not, when you're not this or you're not that or you're not altered in any sort of way, the problem still exists the same way it did before.
That's well said. Now, how did you meet your wife, or how did that happen? What was sort of the story there?
So I was
Because
working at a, I was
she's
working at a
awesome,
restaurant.
man. She really is. She's awesome.
I was working at a restaurant, man. I was in the restaurant business, which is the best place for an alcoholic and a drug addict to be. Um, uh, I was working in a restaurant, man, and I saw her, and I don't know what it was about her, man. We just met, man, and she wasn't looking for anybody, and I wasn't looking for anybody. I had no desire to have a relationship, and neither did she. And here we are. you
Yeah,
know,
sometimes that's a good place to be because
yeah,
I think there's not a lot of pressure there to where you're eager to find someone and she is as well. You're just kind of like, hey, you're kind of cool for some reason. I don't know. I'm kind of drawn to you, but there's no like we've got to get to this next phase. Let's just take our time and enjoy this moment, right?
hmm
I think God. I mean, I'm sure you can look back and say God was kind of placed her there.
yeah,
It sounds like
absolutely,
for you because she knows
absolutely
how
divine
to she knows
appointment.
how to handle you and everything, right? She gets Josh, I would say.
Absolute divine appointment. She knows me better than anyone that has ever been on this planet. Like, I mean, I feel more comfortable with her than I do anybody on this planet, and that's just straight up divine appointment, my friend. Straight. That's all there is to it.
God knew what you needed, man, and
Yeah.
I can attest she is a great woman. I've gotten to know her, and she's super cool, always happy, always real positive, always a light when I see her. It's kind of like when somebody has just that light. It's like a special kind of light they have, a presence, and she definitely has that. Man, I'm thankful that you guys met. I think that was a blessing for sure. Um, as this rebuilding, it's so it sounds like your I guess girlfriend at the time, but wife now. So that was a big turning point. That was a big step in the right direction, kind of meeting her, or
Well, it was the
kind of
time
take
when
us
I
through that.
decided that it would be better to be better, if that makes sense. Like it was like, okay, like there is. It was kind of like I saw a purpose, where all the purpose had been lost. So, I saw that purpose, and she had been through addiction as well, so she recognized and understood it, and she understood that I wasn't a bad person and that I wasn't sick. I just had I just wasn't on the right path, if that makes sense. You know.
No, that's powerful. I think you really said something really good there. From what I've heard and conversations I've had with guys that were former addicts or former whatever issue
hmm
they may have had, it's easy to kind of identify with whatever that is. It's almost like that becomes your identity. Like that's just who I am. I'm just someone who's addicted to a substance, and it's really cool that she was able to see you like a little deeper and say, "Hey, I know you're having this issue,
hmm
but that's not you. Like that,
Yeah,
we can fix this. We can get beyond this. There's hope. It's not just something that you're just gonna have to deal with the rest of your life." And it sounds like you having it's like you were kind of trying to get it together, but someone else believing in you. Like it's almost like she struck you and made you confident that you could actually get through this almost, right? Is that kind of how you felt
that's
or?
exactly how it happened. And I was working at the restaurant with her. It's a friend of ours restaurant, and we were working there, and I decided that I was going to get some help, and everybody was really really cool about it. Well, I was going to try to go to a traditional rehab. Let's put it that way, for a little 28-day whatever it was, right? Well, there was a waiting list on that, and we had some regulars that came into the restaurant pretty much at least 4 times a week. It was the lollies that go to church with us.
Oh, very cool.
And
Wow.
so I had a waiting list. Well, Miss Lawley knew what was going on, and that I was looking for help, and that I was, and she said, "Hey, I got somebody I want you to talk to," and she introduced me to Scott Jones, and
Oh, wow.
Scott Jones works at the Brother Brian Mission, and that's where I got introduced to God, man, for the
So it
second
was
time.
there. So that was a big turning point. It sounds
That was
like
that
getting
was
getting you
that
there.
was that was the turning point. There is no big, small. There is no. That was the, like, if you went, like, that was ground zero. The day she said to me, "I want you to go meet this guy Scott Jones," was ground zero.
See,
Ground
that's
zero.
does that still have a lot of weight to you now? It sounds like it does when you even
Oh
just
yeah, man.
saying that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know the story of Ronnie, and so I introduced her. One of the things that was meaningful to me was introducing Ronnie to her. because I was like, this is the person that did for me what I did for you, so you say, you know,
That's
and
powerful, man.
you know, it's full circle. But
That's powerful.
without God putting Miss Lawley there, and you know, and just the understanding, and Mandy, and just everybody else, man. I mean, it just, like, at the end of the day, it's all God. That's all I can say, man.
It
I
is.
cannot tell you anything else. Cannot
Yeah,
explain it.
it's like he was kind of looking over you and just it's like these little, hey, I'm gonna give this to you here, and Josh goes to that direction. Maybe that's meeting your girlfriend, wife now, and then hey, I'm gonna put this here in front of him, and he's gonna walk into that, and then I'm gonna put this here, and then Josh is gonna meet. You know, it's almost like he's just GPSing you around to
Yeah,
where he gets you to where he wants, and
yeah,
that's it's a cool thing, man. It really is.
yeah.
And I think I like that your heart. Now that you know that I know you, you're very. It's very much on top of your mind and in your heart to do the same thing for other guys, for other people that are struggling, because you know it so well, right? I mean, how? What's the time frame here on you getting into Brother Bryant? Like that. What was that time frame? What was years was that?
How many? What now?
Like, what was the year that you got into,
We were
meeting
2021.
2021? Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
It's
And
not that long ago.
no, man, and it, it it showed me the network, right? Like, it showed me the importance of a network. It showed me the importance of community, and more so than anything, man, I had to be separated from the world
Hmm.
to be able to get the tools that God needed me to have. And I also had to have all of the noise cut out of my life so I could understand God's voice. So when I heard it, I knew to move. And I mean, that's it now, you know. I mean, that's it, man. I mean, you know, I went there and I stayed there for 7.5 months, not being able to work, you know, and God put everything in my life to where I have the job that I still have today.
It's powerful, man. It's almost like you needed a pause, like a
Yeah.
stop. I kind of think of what was that movie with Adam Sandler, and he's got this remote, this click it remote thing. I
Oh,
forget
yeah,
the
I
name
know
of
what
the.
you're talking about. I don't remember the name of it.
Yeah, it's almost like that's what you needed was God to kind of just come in and just just stop everything. Let's just everything stop. Let's just
Yeah,
restart. Let's go. It really is like a new birth, like you were reborn. It really,
absolutely.
I kind of see that in this story, because that's the phrase, right? You're born again, which can sound kind of like it's kind of weird, I guess, if if you don't really understand what's happening. But I think that parallels and describes so much of your journey. It's like you're a new dude, like a brand new person.
Man, transformation of the mind, you know. Um, I know it sounds churchy and all that, man, but I mean, it really is that, man. It is a rebirth. The old me died. They can talk about that person. I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not any of that. They can talk about that because that person's dead. You know, that
Yeah,
person's dead.
it's a new start. So now that you've had this rock bottom, we're going through the process. We're building. Kind of what's some non-negotiables or what's some things that you have in place. I'm sure you have some items and some action items that are in place to keep you on the positive, to keep you in the right direction. Some things that you're like, hey, these are non-negotiables in my day, in my week. I'm always gonna check these boxes for sure.
Yeah,
What are kind of some of those, just for people that are watching, that are maybe saying, man, I'm somewhere in this story. I need some help with
yeah.
being able to go through my day in a good way to where I can stay in the right frame of mind.
Spend time with God alone. Jesus did it. You know what I mean? Like, spend time with God alone. You have to do that. And if it doesn't line up with scripture, I can't do it. It just works for me. You know, everybody else, might be able to do it a different way, but it works for me that way. And those two things for sure are non negotiable.
No, I think everything comes from that. I think there's some action items, some practical items, and you can put all those in place, and those are all good things. But at the end of the day, if before that, the foundation, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
is not resting in God, you're not hearing God, you're not being alone with God, you're not reading his word. I think all that, even though they're good, those items are good, they're kind of pointless, right?
Right.
If they're not coming from scripture and your time with God and hearing from God, that's and I appreciate you saying that, because I agree 100%. That's where it's all has to start from. Even me in my life, I have to do that in the morning, because if I don't, Emory gets involved in my day, and
Yep.
Emory's not that bright.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I can tell when I don't have that moment in the morning. I'm like, wait, Emory is way too involved here. Like I need God to step in, because you start doing stuff on your own strength and well meaning, but you got to have that morning time to clear your head, right? I mean,
Yes.
that's where it's at. So I think, and I'm glad that you just said that. That's it. You didn't give a bunch of items, because I think if anyone is watching this, anyone can do that. That's not a skill set.
Yeah.
That's you don't need to have a certain financial income to do that.
Right.
You just
And if
go
you notice,
get away. You
if you
know.
notice, man, we're always called child of God. We're never called adult of God, right? Because adults think they can make decisions, right? Adults think that they run stuff. Children do not, you know.
No,
So
that's good.
that's the mindset that I always try to keep. That I'm looking for I'm listening to my Father on the decisions that I need to make in my life, because my way did not work. For over 30 years, my way didn't work. You know, for less than 10, his way is perfect, unflawed. You know,
He's
like
undefeated, man.
I mean, like I told you before, man, he wasn't confused when he saved me. He knew what I was going to do. You know, he knew what I was going to do. So that's it, man. It's just it, and it's sometimes it's hard, you know,
Sure,
but we know the
sure.
storm's coming.
Yeah, they're there. You're either coming out of them, right, or you're going in them,
Right,
or they're
right.
all. It's always around. I mean, it's
Uh,
just, I don't say that in a like a negative Debbie
no,
Downer kind of way. I think if people can take that sort of long view of those storms, I think it makes it better. It's kind of like that's just kind of part of some things in life. Those are going to come and go, but I think if you can stay focused, if you can have that time with God in the morning, the perspective he's going to give you and the wisdom he's going to give you is going to be able to sort of like fortify you to get through those
yeah,
storms. And I think that's ultimately where it's at. And I know for me too, a lot of times, if things are going really well, is the time I'm vulnerable to not spend as much time with God, which is
yeah,
so stupid. Sounds ridiculous, but I'll find myself like, okay, because you kind of think you forget a little bit, right? Because we're
hmm,
not very bright as humans. We forget pretty quickly.
absolutely.
Yeah, and we're like, "Oh, I got this. This is going well." And then eventually, you're like, "Okay, what was I doing?
Hmm.
I don't got this.
Yeah,
Let me go. Let me go back. Pause." So I appreciate you saying that. That there's a lot of nuggets that are in your story, a lot of practical nuggets that I think anyone that's sort of in your shoes, was in your shoes, anywhere around that, any storm they're going through, you know that if you have this Bible, you have this God, you can go to that anytime. You're going to get answers. You're going to get, where you need to be in life. God's going to always give you guidance. Like we talked about, kind of like a GPS. Um, but I think it's powerful, man. I appreciate you telling your story. I really
yes,
do.
sir.
Yeah, it's powerful. So look, guys, if this encouraged you, if this challenged you, hopefully it did as well. Please subscribe, comment. We always reach back out to people that comment, so we'd love to hear from you. And remember, overall, stay untrendy. See you guys later.